everybody, my name's Jenny, and behind the camera there, that's Kitty.
Hello.
And you might notice that I'm cryptically keeping my hands behind my back. And that's because we have a very special guest with us today that we're basing this week's video on, and that's this little friend right here. Not the mosquito on my hand, but this butterfly. So today we're going to be doing a video on butterflies. This one is freshly emerged, so what better time than now to talk about her. And you know, the first thing that we should probably start off with is, what is a butterfly? Butterflies and moths belong to an order of insects called Lepidoptera. And the origin of this word Lepidoptera comes from the Greek meaning lepid, meaning scale, and optra meaning wing. So every insect belonging to the order Lepidoptera, they have tiny little scales all over the wings. You probably can't see it on her. They're so small, but they're what gives the colors to these butterflies and moths. And there's all sorts of different ways that these scales give color, whether it's pigments in the scale or whether it's structural color. So the structure of the scales reflect light in such a way that it creates different patterns like iridescence or the color blue. So these give the butterflies and moths their color. And there's a couple differences between butterflies and moths. And a lot of times people associate moths with nighttime and butterflies with daytime, but that's not always true. So a lot of butterflies tend to be diurnal, active during the day, and a lot of moths tend to be nocturnal, active during the night, but this is not a hard and fast rule. You do get diurnal moths and you do get nocturnal butterflies as well. So that's not the best rule to use. One of the ways you can tell the difference between a butterfly and a moth is the way they rest with their wings. So with a butterfly, if they're resting their wings, they tend to rest it with their wings folded back like this. Whereas moths tend to rest with their wings open. And butterflies also, you can see here, they have these nice long skinny antennae, whereas moths tend to have kind of these fuzzy antennae, not like this. So those are some of the ways, kind of general guidelines to tell the difference between a moth and a caterpillar. Of course, there is exceptions. Everything in nature has exceptions.
And one of the best things to look for is sometimes moths can have skinny antennae too, so it can be a little bit tricky to tell, but you can really see on this butterfly that the antennas are clubbed. So they have a little club at the end, and moths, they don't have this club. So that's one of the best clues that you can look for telling between a butterfly and a moth.
Yeah, so some tips and hints for dealing with the order Lepidoptera. Now, what we have here today is a butterfly. This is a Black Swallowtail. And you know what? They don't always look like this. You know, I'm sure you guys all know butterflies and moths start out a little bit different. So why don't I actually pass things over to Kitty to tell you about how the life of a butterfly like this Black Swallowtail starts.
Yeah, so I think I might take this little guy from you. Oops, I'll hold it right here. Yeah, perfect.
All right. How appropriate. I'm wearing my butterfly shirt today, and I totally didn't even expect us to see a butterfly today, so that's really nice. But this Black Swallowtail butterfly didn't start off like this. It actually started off as an egg. So what happens is the adult butterfly, and for this particular species, it likes to lay its eggs on plants like Queen Anne's lace and dill. So if you want to attract butterflies like this to your yard, you can always plant some of those plants as well, which is really awesome. But they'll lay an egg on that plant, and that egg's gonna hatch into a little caterpillar. And when these guys are little caterpillars, what happens is they actually look like bird droppings. They look like a little piece of bird poop, which is not the most attractive thing for it to look like, but it works out really well for these butterflies, because what happens is bird poop is not very appetizing to a lot of animals. Caterpillars are, for sure. Birds love to eat caterpillars. If they can see a big fat juicy caterpillar, they'll waste no time in gobbling that up. But of course, a caterpillar doesn't want that. It doesn't want to be eaten. So it camouflages itself as bird droppings. So when maybe a bird passes by that Queen Anne's lace and it sees a little piece of bird poop on a leaf, it wouldn't be too concerned. It's going to just keep on going so that caterpillar doesn't get eaten, which is very helpful for those little guys. Now, as that caterpillar feeds on the plant, it's gonna grow and grow and grow, and it's actually gonna do what we call molt. So insects go through molts where they grow too big to fit inside their old skin. So they kind of shed their skin and trade in for a new bigger skin that they grow underneath, kind of like buying new clothes every year. And as it goes through several molts, this poop-like caterpillar is actually going to transform, and it's going to look a little bit more like green caterpillar with black bands and orange and yellow bands as well. So that's actually how we found this butterfly last year at the Arboretum. We found it as a caterpillar, and we took it into the office and fed it every single day.
I remember picking fresh queen ants laced with this caterpillar every day.
Yeah, until it grew big enough, and it grew and grew and grew until it reached its full length as a caterpillar, and then it went into a little bit of a transformation. Now, what happened is, when it grew big enough as a caterpillar, it picked a nice spot on the stick that we gave it, and it actually formed a chrysalis just like this. So this is the chrysalis that this butterfly actually came out of. So it looks a little bit funny. And when it's in a chrysalis, you don't see a lot of action. You don't see a butterfly moving around. You don't see a caterpillar munching away. You don't see much going on. But there is a lot going on inside that chrysalis, I promise. Because inside that chrysalis, this caterpillar actually turned completely into goo. So imagine that. It released enzymes to dissolve all of the tissues in its caterpillar body and turn it into big old caterpillar soup. Except there were some cells inside this caterpillar that survived. These are called imaginal discs. And throughout most of the caterpillar's life, for most species, they remain dormant until it's the time for a chrysalis. Then they start growing. These imaginal discs contain instructions to transform into all of the body parts that a butterfly has, including the wings and the legs and antenna and the proboscis, that long curly tongue-like thing that this butterfly has. All those things that the caterpillar doesn't have, but the butterfly does, these imaginal discs have instructions for. So what happens is inside this chrysalis, in all that caterpillar soup, those imaginal discs, those special cells are going to take nutrients from the protein-rich soup around them, and they're going to start dividing, and they're going to grow and grow and grow into all those butterfly parts until they form that adult butterfly. And for the black swallowtail, these guys, they actually overwinter as the chrysalis. So we had it as a caterpillar last year. We fed it lots. It transformed into a chrysalis, and over the winter, it stayed a chrysalis. And it actually, we think, probably emerged today. So we found it just today, and in the springtime, when it gets a little bit warmer, it's going to come out as a fully formed adult butterfly. And now this butterfly is going to go off. It's going to find a mate, and then the female is going to lay eggs to begin the cycle all over again this summer, which is so awesome to see. And of course, you can see this even in your own backyard sometimes, especially if you plant plants that they like Queen Anne's lace and dills to lay their eggs on. But you could recognize them by their dark wings with the black-yellow dots, and they're called swallowtails because on the hind wing, you can see they have a little tail sticking out, just like this. So that's why they're called the black swallowtail butterfly. So we're really happy to see this guy out and about, and we're actually gonna maybe release him right now. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, he wants to stay. Well, we can hang out with him a little bit longer then. You can see his beautiful wings.
Yeah, interestingly enough, this black swallowtail also looks very similar to another species, which is the pipevine butterfly. And the pipevine butterfly is a poisonous butterfly. So a lot of other predators might see a pipevine butterfly and go, I don't want to eat that, it's no good. And the black swallowtail has kind of taken advantage of that. This form of mimicry helps protect it, because another predator might come along and might see this and go, oh, well, that kind of looks like a pipevine butterfly. I don't want to eat it, it's probably poisonous, and it leave it alone. So that's kind of an adaptation that this butterfly has with its coloring. Its pretty colors are not just for show, it helps protect it as well. And she's gonna hang out for a bit, I guess, so we'll just wait for her.
Yeah. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and definitely as the summer warms up, keep an eye out for butterflies just like this.